Hello everyone, SoulsBorneFanatic here. Why has Bloodborne still not been ported to PC? Why do people still hold hope that it will come to PC? Why does Sony ignore Bloodborne? All good questions that you will never get a definitive answer to. More so, directly from Sony. So I'm going to go ahead and try to answer these questions to the best of my ability. 8 years ago, Sony Computer Entertainment released a neat little game on March 24th, 2015. As many of you know, this game has been locked to the PlayStation for a long 8 years, and has never touched on any other platforms. Sony has never released their big AAA games on other platforms until the PlayStation 5 generation. They have ported several of their big name exclusives from the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 now, with titles such as Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone, God of War, Last of Us, Spider-Man, Uncharted 4, Returnal, and now their most recent game announced for PC, being Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. This really devalues the PS5 for someone considering getting one, with no games being exclusive, but that's a different discussion entirely. I just want them to port Bloodborne PC. I have to say this really quickly. I'm really confused why Sony releases games out of order. And what I mean by that is putting sequels out before the first game, chronologically speaking, and then them being dissatisfied with the sales of said games. This company is very backwards. Sony has been very adamant about not releasing Bloodborne on PC. I would be absolutely fine if they came out and said, you know what, we will never release Bloodborne on PC, end of story, fuck you. I'd completely respect it, because at the very least, they weren't lying to me, and they weren't playing this game of we're gonna post an image of Bloodborne on Twitter and then delete it because people got excited. And I don't know about anyone else, but that's part of what makes talking about Bloodborne so interesting, and it's just how nothing has changed at all. There's been nothing. It's been complete silence. It's stayed the exact same. They've never even remotely hinted at it ever. It's crazy. Sony will go ahead and release Demon Souls on PC, not the PS3 game, but they probably would release that on top of the remake on PC before they ever touch Bloodborne. Mark my words, this will happen sometime this year. Sony closed the studio that worked on Bloodborne, being Japan Studio, and doesn't really like Fromsoftware, nor want to work with them to do anything with Bloodborne. Fromsoftware has been doing tons of projects since wrapping up DLC on Bloodborne. You got Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, Elden Ring, and now Armored Core 6 5's Rubicon. And don't forget the DLC that they've been working on for over a year. The reasoning as to why is not concrete, but I'll try and do a bit of educated guessing. Fromsoftware has taken a massive undertaking with their most recent published title, Elden Ring. This game being a colossal hit, selling 20.5 million copies in less than a year, I think. Much more than any $70 game for sure. Maybe Fromsoftware was simply too busy to partake in any project relating to Bloodborne, although Miyazaki has expressed interest in it, even saying, if I were to say which one stayed in my heart, it's Bloodborne. It is what most struck me. I believe I did it my way, the way I wanted. End quote. He also stated that it is completely out of his control to pursue such a project, and he is correct, seeing how Sony owns the rights to Bloodborne. If the president of the company you corroborated with is interested, then there really isn't any reason other than Sony's own inaction. This is only relevant to a sequel, as nothing is stopping them from porting the game or even remastering the game if they felt so inclined. There's been talk of the code of Bloodborne being undecipherable and only legible by Fromsoftware, but who's buying this idea of Fromsoftware being so incredibly inept to use spaghetti code that no one can understand? This game was done in collaboration with Japan Studio. Would they really be fine with such a thing? I don't really know what the extent of what they did for the project, but this just sounds entirely unfeasible. Most of PlayStation's IPs have been ported to PC, where of their big name IPs, selling multi-millions of copies. Although this idea is flawed. Returnal sold around 500,000 copies on PS5, but was ported to PC, I believe, within a year. I believe this is probably due to it failing to sell very much, but Bloodborne's in this weird middle spot where it's sold 2 million copies, and that 2 million copies number is very outdated. We don't know the numbers. It could be 3. I don't think it's much more than that, but it's in the... Yeah, it still hasn't been ported yet. There were rumors back when Zero Dawn was released that the PC port was planned but was troubled and thereafter cancelled. I don't believe this at all. Sony owns the rights to Bloodborne, yet doesn't own the studio that made the game. Fromsoftware was the developer of it, yet they don't own Fromsoftware, and hopefully they never will. Sony has an interesting history with Fromsoftware, with them refusing to publish Demon's Souls for the PS3 and doing surprisingly well when it was localized in 2009 for Western audiences. And it took a while for it to do very well. Well, Dark Souls, when they released that in 2011, that was more of an instant success for them. The worst case scenario could be them simply losing the source code, similar to Rockstar with Red Dead Redemption 1. Then they could be very secretively working on a remake with Bluepoint for Bloodborne. Although nobody knows, the truth will never be made clear on the matter, but who knows, I could be wrong, you know, maybe next year with time, maybe, you know, maybe we'll get like something. That's a huge hope. And, you know, that's about all that I could find, really. I wanted to talk about Bloodborne again after that, dog shit PlayStation showcase. But, this is coming out way later than I wanted it to. So, yeah, you know, there's that again. But, you know, stuff happens just like stuff doesn't happen, like a Bloodborne PC port. So, I know that I've done this, like, way too much. Way too much, but this will probably be the last time I talk about this, unless something happens. Instead, I'm going to be talking about Elden Ring again, because that's a game I like. And, it's going to get content, unlike Bloodborne. So, that's about it. Have a nice rest of your day. And as every reply under the is Bloodborne on PC tweets, please type in the comment section, Bloodborne for PC has not been announced today, tomorrow for sure. And Sony will ignore you.